It really is extremely important to be quite careful when choosing a microscope for live blood analysis. The reason for that is that it's not just a standard type of microscope being used for the analysis. In terms of what we aim to actually find in blood samples, most of the more important and really interesting anomalies are actually seen in dark field. And for dark field, the microscope does need to have a very specific set of specifications, some really unique features that are not commonly found in normal laboratory microscopes, and a few additional features that we've built into our own microscopes just to make it more convenient and allow you to see everything that you should be able to see in blood samples. So it is quite a specialized tool and certainly not the sort of standard microscopes that you would be able to find online. And even microscopes being sold as dark field microscopes, and even microscopes advertised online as dark field live blood analysis microscopes. We come across this quite often in the course with attendees sending us information on these microscopes and asking us if they are appropriate for blood analysis. And usually when you actually look at the features, it's quite obvious right away that you can see that the microscope is not suitable at all for live blood analysis. It might be okay for viewing other samples in dark field, but as I said, there's the set of requirements. There's really a very unique set of requirements, and very difficult to find that in normal commercial microscopes because it is such a niche type of technology that we work with. So I can run through some of the important points, and I think it would be important to discuss in terms of the actual specifics. One of the first things to actually check is the strength of the light source. That immediately separates the microscopes that could be eligible for blood analysis from those that are completely not suitable. And you would find, often shockingly so, that the microscopes advertised as dark field live blood analysis microscopes have a very weak light source, something that you would only use for normal laboratory work, and certainly not for viewing live samples in dark field. So the minimum strength that the light source needs to be is actually 50 watts halogen, or the equivalent in LED. So our top of the range microscopes used for blood analysis actually have a 9-watt LED light source, which is equivalent to 100-watt halogen. So, very high level of brightness, which actually allows for the type of contrast that we need in dark field. Without a suitable light source, the microscope is simply not going to be suitable. There's not enough brightness to allow the small, finer structures that we're actually looking for in dark field to actually show up between the blood cells. You may be able to see some of the blood cells clearly, and you might be able to see some of the white blood cells, but the actual structures between the cells that we're specifically looking for in dark field are simply not visible. If you can't see them, you really never know when they are there and when they're not there. So it becomes a real challenge when working with clients to try and work out what you're actually seeing if the microscope doesn't allow you to see what you should be able to see. The second setting that we always look at as well, other than the light source, is to look at the magnification levels. Other than the type of optics, just simply the magnification levels is really quite important. The reason for that is that your conventional build or type of setup with a microscope provides the same level of magnification on your viewing screen as what you get through the eyepieces. Now, it's quite logical why this would be the case, and it would be ideal in most other situations. But in live blood analysis, we actually need a fairly high level of magnification on the screen to be able to properly see the shape of the blood cells. So the actual anomalies related to the shape of the red blood cells themselves are only really visible at high magnifications. We're talking about magnifications from about 1,000 times up. Now, most of your normal microscopes with the type of setup where you have the same magnification on the viewing screen, when you're using the 40 times objective, all that you're able to achieve then on the viewing screen is a magnification of 400 times. So to achieve a magnification of 1,000 times, you actually need to use the 100 times objective, which is also not really very easy to work with. And often, because of these microscopes just being standard laboratory microscopes, they also don't have the correct 100 times objective, which means that in most cases where these microscopes, attendees end up using the 40 times objective because they can't get a good enough image with a 100 times objective, and then have a dismally low level of magnification on the screen, and they're really struggling to see. You could zoom in digitally to increase the magnification, but there's only so much that you're able to see in terms of detail when viewing or zooming into a digital image. So it becomes quite a challenge. Now with our microscopes with a 40 times objective, there's additional magnification going to the viewing screen. So this means that using the 40 times objective, you actually get a magnification of 1,600 times on the viewing screen, which is really ideal for identifying anomalies in live blood. And this also then allows for even higher magnification. So using the 100 times objective, then we're able to get a magnification of 4,000 times on the screen, which is sort of what we have in the example behind me. That's a dark field image viewed with the 100 times objective, and we're getting about a 4,000 times magnification on the screen, which is really ideal, when we have very small structures like microbes that we're looking at, and we want to actually look at the actual shape. This is really, wonderful to have access to.
So students are not going to know until it's too late that they're not going to be able to see all of the anomalies. And I suppose that the companies that are selling these microscopes online that say they're for live blood analysis, they're not actually being, what can I say? They're not actually lying. They actually don't know the specifications of live blood analysis because it's not very well known, is it?
No, it's becoming more well known these days, but is still really not widely known, and certainly the actual specifics required, in the microscopes are also not known. So these microscope companies are, just companies selling microscopes. They're not involved at all with live blood analysis, so they're simply not aware of what's required, to see anything in a live blood sample. And they're simply providing a basic microscope that allows for dark field, but certainly not the type of detail that we're actually looking for in blood samples. And as you said, yes, attendees think they're buying a suitable microscope, and only discover when they start looking at blood samples that what they're seeing on their system doesn't really compare to what we have in the training course. And that becomes really difficult then to actually start practicing with something like that.